paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying, I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery.
Who said that I was recording? I didn't.
Are you recording?
I am now. Would you like to
Right.
start the podcast now that I'm actually recording?
I'd love to.
Are you gonna?
Hello, everybody, and
DJ,
welcome.
you should do it. You should do it, DJ.
I was gonna interrupt him, but I'm glad you did because that's the bit. But I was
But,
gonna
like-
say, who said you get to do the intro, huh?
Yeah, last week DJ did a really good job, and people said it was Corbin's best episode ever.
Personally, y'all, I listened, and I love the bit. I also think I had an MVP type episode last week.
You've destroyed my suspension of disbelief when you said you listened.
All I know is I was great. No mistakes. But I am back. I moved last week. In addition to coming back from Vegas, which was its own thing, I'm very, very glad to be at home, in my new home, for a couple months, I think, before I go back out on the road. So I'm glad to be back. Welcome
It's gonna be
back,
your new
everybody.
home for a couple months.
Well, before I go back out traveling, I think, before we get events coming up again. I think you might be at an event before me, Jason.
I'm going to GP Seattle. Please don't murder me.
I'll be at SCG Syracuse and then the TCG Con that is in Jersey.
You all, I want to tell you all something. Do you remember the crate stacking challenge that went around?
The Milk Crate Challenge, the one
Milk
you
Crate
wouldn't
Challenge,
do.
yes.
Yeah, the one
I
that you
distinctly
wouldn't do
remember
because you're
you-
a
I
coward.
wanted to, yes, because I have an immune system.
Yeah.
I just thought you should know that someone directly exposed me to COVID last week, and my super immune system came through again. No,
I think
Rona.
we should start a list of the challenges that Corbin has accepted and not completed.
Ooh.
Is that list one?
There's also the Wife Cast Challenge that you.
That's not on me. That's
There's
not
also
on me.
the spicy peanuts.
Did
I
you eat
sent
spicy,
you spicy
what?
peanuts.
Bro,
What?
that was expired from a company with a defunct Twitter account.
No, that wasn't the peanuts. The peanuts are still good. Who had the defunct Twitter account? Was that the gummy bear?
I think
it
no.
might
I
have
think that.
been.
I think that was the chips.
I think it was the chips.
Packy.
Because they wanted us to tweet at them. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not doing any of that. We are here podcasting, as always, because it is episode 500-ish. I wasn't going to miss this one. It's funny because no episode number is ever correct in this show's history.
I mean, one had to be right. Like,
Well,
the first-
no. I mean, maybe. That depends if we lose one before that. No, but look, at least up until episode 100 when we did 99, 99.1, 99.2, 99.5, 99.9, and
Yeah.
then did episode 100, nothing is accurate anymore. But here we are.
It's
on
not our
episode
500th
500.
episode.
Yeah. And we've done a bunch of bonus content as well, right? That are
Yeah.
episodes in themselves. So, hey, and if you throw in the ones we've recorded that
so-
we then lost, we're probably up to like
That
550.
happened
Well,
twice. I
Corbin.
think.
So like,
2 or 3 times. Jason, you've been at this for 10-ish years. You're old. What do you wish you knew when you started podcasting that you know now?
No one gives a about your podcast unless you are a YouTube video series.
What
uh,
an uplifting
Even the
take.
people listening to this podcast right now don't give a about this podcast.
Yeah.
Right? You in your
that's-
car, right? Your boring job listening to this podcast because you're a completionist like me. I watched every episode of Scrubs, and you'll be damned if you're not going to listen to every episode of Brainstorm Brewery because you started 10 years ago and you're like, I'm going to give these guys a chance. And we haven't been bad enough to take out of your podcast recommendation app. So
that wasn't quite the answer we were looking for, Jason, but
we
you know
love
what?
to be
you
just
gave an
good
answer.
enough. Just good enough.
You
I
gave
do
an
like
answer,
to think about just sort of the max efficiency potential of human life hours sometimes.
yeah. As a normal person does.
Well, right, but I mean, if you think about the number of ear holes this podcast goes in, divide that by 2, and then multiply it by the number of, like, hours that has been spent, like, that could have been spent, like, on cancer research or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had a tremendous negative impact on the planet, for
Right,
sure.
yeah, exactly. It's like how many hours total collectively spent BSB listening could every listener have used instead on, like, cancer research?
Hey, I've
Or,
listened
like-
to 500 episodes of this podcast, but I didn't teach my daughter to read.
Look at it this way, though. Maybe you could have solved cancer in the time you spent podcasting.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's just like a nice...
Because
thing to
for
think
every,
about.
you have put, well, I say you, and maybe this isn't true for anybody, actually. I was going to say that we've put in more because, we've recorded episodes that don't go out. We record after hours. We've been here for all of it, that even someone who's listened to every single episode hasn't been there for.
Well,
On the other hand, DJ
We
came
wait,
around
no.
3 episodes a week and only release one of them.
I'd say on the other hand, DJ came around episode whatever. Jason came in 10 episodes in, and I've missed 10 episodes. So maybe Sander
Only 10,
Vanderzee,
accurate.
yeah, maybe Sander out there is,
No,
got the most.
I do want to subtract that total number by the number of doctors who are listening to the podcast who are doing cancer research, which is not an insignificant amount. I know that
think-
we have a lot of
You think it's...
doctor listeners out there who are doing...
What kind of doctor?
We have so many... Our oncologist,
Yeah.
like, little section on YouTube metrics is just a big spike. It's like a giant
Yep.
skyscraper.
Yep. I watched
So-
that show on Netflix about those doctors who were trying to cure brain cancer in New York. And it was like a documentary on them. And it was like a season-long show. And it was like 5-6 episodes. It was interesting. But DJ's right. I saw Brainstorm Brewery in the background multiple times.
There you
That's a
go.
good point. That's a good point.
We are distracting life-saving research.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. I can't
Did we
think of a
edify
better
your
way.
life at all? Probably not. We told you how to engage in capitalism a little bit better, right? Have
There's got to be
have we
at least
actually,
one. There's got to be at least one 19-year-old listener with a couple stealthy AirPods in who's lifeguarding at a pool, who maybe missed a kid and maybe laughed at a pick of the week at the same time.
Can you wear earbuds when you're lifeguarding?
I said stealthily. I said, like, you're not supposed
Oh.
to, clearly, but this person's 19 and they're reckless.
I see. And yet they're in
Playing
charge of the
fast and
safety
loose.
of my children. Yeah.
Are they an ocean lifeguard or a pool lifeguard?
What's the difference?
One
Well-
is a lifeguard in the ocean, and the other one's a lifeguard at a pool.
Yeah, they
Like-
I've never seen anyone make a TV show.
Do they have different requirements?
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone make a TV show about lifeguards at a pool, man.
I'll be there, 'cause my chair's 3 feet away. Yeah. Sounds
The
about
only
right.
thing I know about lifeguards at pools is that they probably have a higher sexual assault rate based on my experience of the movie Sandlot. Like,
Which was just... You know how they fixed that at the end? They're like, don't worry, she had 7 of his kids.
Well, we recorded some after hours there, y'all. That's what's up with us. We're on episode 500. We're just here to have fun, y'all. We don't make a lot of money or any money on this podcast. We put it all back into the community. We are here to have a good time and to make content for you. That's what we've been doing for 10 years, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So with that said, it's time for Breaking Bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
I have a black comment from M12 that I think will get people, because this is a TCG Direct card. It is a card that I sell for like roughly 80 cents or so on Direct, but and I assumed like that was the normal price, and then I looked up the price and it's like actually like a 30% card or so. So it's
A
an
black-
M12 common that's black, and it's gotten several reprints.
Ace of Blood.
No.
It's common?
Yes, that's a very specific common from M12 that you just mentioned, Corbin, but no.
Is it a rat?
No, it is not a rat.
Is it a vampire?
No.
What card type is this? Is it a creature?
It's a spirit.
Is it the one that either discounts your flyers or
No.
bumps your flyers?
No.
Hmm.
I sold roughly
said
30 or
black.
40 of these over the past like 2 weeks, and I was just surprised.
And M12 was the first time it was printed.
It was in M12, and then it was in M13, and then it was in 2 plane chases, 2012 and Anthology. And then it also had a WPN promo, apparently, but that doesn't really matter.
And it's a black spirit?
Correct.
Oh! The unblockable dude.
Yeah, Tormented Soul cannot block, it is unblockable.
Eureka.
Eureka.
It's pronounced
Ninjas
Eureka.
Eureka.
It's You're embarrassing yourself, Corbin. It's Eureka.
Yeah, so there's Eureka, and then there's other ninjas and various bloodthirsty effects or whatever. I don't particularly know the entirety of why this always sells out for me at like 80 cents ish. It's not one you can usually buy list, but if you're a TCG Direct seller, you can probably take advantage of that if you have the correct printings.
Gotcha. All right, I'll follow up here. We were talking about a pretty wild card. We were mentioning this earlier before the cast, but War of the Spark has given us some good ones. Mayhem Devil, Dovin's Veto, both $4 to $5 cards at uncommon for War of the Spark. And I'm going to hit you all with another uncommon from War of the Spark, a colorless one.
Firemind's Vessel.
Nope.
You said it's uncommon?
Is it an artifact, or are you saying colors for some other weird reason because you're trying to game?
I'm not trying to game anything.
Is it an artifact?
No.
Or land?
Yes.
Is
it's the
zone?
emergency zone?
Yeah.
It's Emergence Zone. So for those who don't know, Emergence Zone is almost $1. It's just a colorless land, tap and mana. Then 1 mana, tap, sack it. You may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. So I think it's Winding Canyons is the sort of the EDH staple that allows you to do that. But Emergence Zone is a budget option.
Cool.
I mean, it's not even a budget option. It lets you cast anything with flash, whereas Winding Canyons is creature specifically, I think.
That's true. Or you have to play Alchemist Refuge, in which case you're blue-green. Yep. This is a colorless way to do it.
I mean, Alchemist Refuge is a terrible card, and it's not in the right colors for what it does necessarily, because blue-green doesn't need a ton of help doing that, and it just feels like that card was just way more money than it should have been forever.
Is it worth a lot of money now?
I think it's like $2, $3. It was mystery boosted in the foil version.
I'll say I'm a big fan of Alchemist Refuge. One, because it was like one of the only good things out of Avacyn Restored, right? So that's part of it. But blue-green tap, you may cast online cards as turn as though they had flash. Like
Avacyn Restored was the EDH set of all time. Like, what do you mean one of the good things?
Back then, right?
EDHiest set of all time, he says.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's top 5.
Well, look, we start talking about the mythics, yeah. I just mean that sort of on like the low end of going through Avacyn Restored bulk, and just buying cards or having cards from that set. It was one of the nice ones. And look, I thought that card fit.
Top 5 even. That's a debate we could have.
I don't know. I mean, Craterhoof, Avacyn. Exquisite Blood.
Deadeye Navigator.
Yeah, man, it does seem kind of hard to
all
top.
the big splashy, like,
honestly,
expensive
Temporal
creatures
Mastery
in that set were designed for EDH.
Bro, Conjurer's Closet, Blood Artist. These do kind of seem like EDH cards, not gonna lie.
The first thing I think of is Champions of Kamigawa.
Devastation
Well, it's
Tide,
like,
even?
well, Ravnica gave us Signets and Guildgates. Or
Bro, Ghostly
Ghostlands.
Flicker. Like, I might be with Jason. This is an interesting debate. Maybe we can do this sometime. Start ranking them.
Or we could just use EDH rec data and just ruin the debate.
No. Embrace debate.
We should be a tier list podcast.
We should be having this conversation in a barbershop. That's why we shouldn't be at our computers. You got to talk and nobody can look it up. That's what phones ruined people saying really dumb, unhinged.
Bro,
but they're older than you and you don't know for sure, so you don't want to call them on it.
I don't know enough about stars to dispute it.
The internet has ruined that experience of having somebody talk about a topic for an hour and then you find out later they were lying. Ooh. We need to bring that back.
Here's the thing, though, man. At least in my friend circle, if you start talking about stuff and then someone tries to look it up, It's kind of like, shun, shun the non-believer. Get the out of here. What the are you doing?
Well, that's because they're reading. You can't read.
Like, we're sitting here trying to have fun. We're sitting here trying to have fun arguing on our 3-hour car trip to Dallas, and you're going to fucking look it up? Like, what the fuck?
You pull over to the side and let them out, man. You don't need a guy like that harshing your vibe when you're just trying to be a dumb idiot on a car trip.
I agree, man. Seriously, it kind of pulls out to look up something when you could just argue about it instead. Unreal.
And neither one of you pull your phone out and look up a Morning Tide colorless uncommon.
A Morning Tide.
There's no way it's Thornbite staff, right? Like, you're not.
It's one of the
$20 break in bulk. Yeah, I'm not Corbin. I don't get Thornbite staffs in bulk.
One of those equipment. How about that? Cloak and Dagger.
You just pull Cloak and Dagger out of your ass? It was such a random guess.
I started playing around then, and I remember all of those equipments.
Well, I shouldn't give this to you because
my first guess was going to be Obsidian Battle Axe, so like I wasn't too far behind.
Yeah, is it Cloak and Dagger?
There were only 5 colorless cards in all of Morningtide, so you did it. Yeah, Cloak and Dagger is over $1 for the same reason that Corbin's pick is a pick.
Yeah, Cloak and Dagger is actually pretty cool.
You have to hit people with stuff now, like Marie the Killing Quill and Nalia Darnice and like some of the other. You have to hit them with creatures now, which I think it's a fair way to do Magic the Gathering. So all these rogue decks are just punching.
I think all Commander games should be resolved by combat damage.
We're getting closer to that, I think. Right? At least I feel that way. I mean, obviously, all of our experiences are going to be colored by our own groups, but
I do appreciate it when somebody makes the game faster by dealing everybody a small, manageable, consistent amount of damage every turn.
Yeah, I kind of like playing like my Tovolar deck, like Tribal Werewolves go raw, because it just the same reason DJ likes playing Thantis. It just turns the games different, makes things look different.
Yeah, when people have to attack with their utility dorks, it's good. That's why I like goading so much.
Yeah, goading is a great mechanic. Great mechanic.
Giving it to Bant is weird, but what are you gonna do?
You think so? That feels like a blue ability to me.
Everything feels like a blue ability.
Fair.
That's how the Wizards designed the game. The fact that everything can feel like a blue ability. They're wizards. They can do it. They got the magics.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
White getting card draw in my card game. And then they overcorrect. They always overcorrect. You guys like treasures? You guys like white card draw?
Dude, treasures are too much. Treasures should have come. We had this debate before, but yeah, treasures. It's everywhere now. Speaking of, I'm gonna throw. No. Go ahead.
You know who's getting too many treasure tokens? TCG players getting too much treasure because they're changing their fees next month.
Ooh, let's talk about the treasure tokens that TCG players getting. Are they going to put them in their big pirate ship that they built?
Probably.
TJ, can you explain what they're going to do with their pirate's booty?
So TCG players' fees for the direct program specifically are going up by some nominal amount of cents over the next month or so. I think it's July 19th or something. But that's the TCG player fees have been the same for a very long time, and they are changing using some argument or whatever to say that they need to change the fees. This has upset a lot of sellers, as you can expect, but not in the way you might think. So one of the biggest concerns that a lot of people have had about selling on TCG Player is the way that TCG collects and also collects shipping and also does shipping on their end for direct products. So for those who don't know, if you sell a card on TCG Direct and that card is over $20 or the order is over $20, TCG will charge you as the seller for them to ship it in a tracked bubble mailer. So they will tell the seller, look, we're shipping this in a tracked bubble mailer here. And so that's why we're going to charge you $3 to $4 extra on top of our fees because we're doing this for you. And In 2015, this made sense because in 2015, TCG was shipping their direct orders that were over $20 in a tracked bubble mailer. I realize this is a long road to follow here, but bear with me.
This is good info for sure.
And then TCG would also tell the buyer, hey, you're spending $20+ in TCG Direct, and this is the year 2015, our Lord and Savior. So you get free shipping. And then the buyer's like, great, this is awesome. And so the transaction made sense because TCG charged you $3 as the seller, the person selling the card. They would basically charge you for the shipping that the customer was getting for free because TCG was eating the cost of that. So they'd pass it on to the seller. Nowadays, in the year of our Lord and Savior 2022, if you sell that same card via the same platform, via the same methods, they still take that $3-ish cut. However, if you're the buyer, you don't get free shipping until $50, I think is the threshold nowadays.
Or you subscribe to TCG Infinite.
Right. You can also subscribe to the TCGPlayer Infinite program, which is their $8 a month thing that guarantees you free shipping on all of your direct orders. But if you're not one of those people, you are paying the $3 to $4 shipping as the buyer, and TCG is charging you the $3 to $4 shipping as the seller, and then they are sending that card out in a plain white envelope because they don't track anything up until the $40 to $50 threshold, I believe the number is now. So TCG is double dipping on tracked shipping fees and then not spending that money on tracked cards.
Triple dipping, if you will.
Correct.
You're taking it twice and then not paying it out. Yeah. That actually is kind of brutal.
If this were a pass-through cost, then TCG would be tracking these $20 direct orders like they did in 7 years ago. But they aren't. And, I mean, if you're a Patreon at patreon.com/BSB, and you have access to our TCG Player Fee spreadsheet, you can see where this breaks down, because there's always a dead zone when selling on TCG Player, and what I mean by a dead zone is there are prices you should not list cards for ever. And
yeah, like if it's 1 cent more, but it bumps it up into another like pay tier, like all the extra profit you get is erased by a higher fee structure.
It's the way that people think the tax bracket system works in America.
It's about right.
It's not, but in this context, it is. So if you list a card for $19.99 on TCG Player's Marketplace and you're a direct seller, you will make less if you list that card for more. So if you list that card for $19.99, you will take home 16 something. And then if you list that card for like $20.08, you will take home like $13 or $14. So there are dead zones in like the $20 to $23 range. And the $3 to $4 range where you should just never list cards at. And these fee increases have started this discussion on one of the main, I guess, confluences of TCG Player sellers as to how TCG Player is practicing these fees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you think comes of all of this? Nothing. TCG Player just makes all the money, I assume, right?
I think that's the most likely outcome. I just wish that they had a lot of changes on the TCG Player Marketplace, but like it is frustrating to see that they are claiming the fee is changing for a specific reason when it should be changing for a different reason. Like the fees on TCG have been the same for close to a decade now, so like if there was a gradual change in fees and like those fees lined up with the transparency of the marketplace and like how those fees were being spent and where the money was going, like that makes sense. If like the fees are different now than back then, and the argument is like it's been 10 years and money is worth different because that's how economies work, then that's a easier pill to swallow. But like as long as TCG continues to say that, hey, we're charging you $3 for shipping, and we're charging you $3 for shipping. Yeah. And we're not, that money's not going to the post office. It's going to us. And then like there's another argument here about how like TCG Player does have pre-sorted discounted rates with the USPS because like they are probably a high 2-digit number of Syracuse's postal action. Like the amount of packages that come in and out of Syracuse are probably, most of them are TCG. Like by a significant margin, so they clearly get a discounted rate with the post office and have some sort of arrangement there. So like whether or not the numbers line up on how much they're claiming they need to spend on shipping could be called into question. But yeah, like that's it's
Well, that's
sparked
good.
discussion.
That's good info. Yeah, that's good info that people should know.
Well,
And
like
be
if
aware
you're a seller who's trying to get into direct, like the cost of goods in this collectible industry is very high. Like compared to like any other sort of like resale industry, like if you go buy used whatevers and then sell them for more, like you're making generally a significantly more margin than Magic cards, because the Magic cards have such a low margin.
Yeah, agreed.
Like we're in a margin where like Card Kingdom can buy something for $18 and sell it for 21, and they make razor thin margins because like that's how hot list cards work in this industry.
And having a $21 card in your inventory will make people fill up a cart sometimes if they need to build around it. So like, yeah, the margins suck, but sometimes the thing is a loss leader. Like there are reasons to conduct your business.
Right, for sure. Like there's a reason that some vendors at Magic Fest are able to buy cards for above retail. It's like, we're buying Ledger Shredder for 25, and you like open your phone and you see Ledger Shredder's 22, and then you go sit down with a buyer, you give them your playset of Ledger Shredder, and then they get to take your Commander staples at 60%. Like that is an existing marketing strategy that some vendors use. But like the vendor conglomerate on TCG Player has sort of, and I hope we'll be successful in this, and I'm one of the people who commented on the thread, like, it is, TCG is not a sustainable marketplace when the seller makes 5% and TCG Player makes 15%. Is the TLDR version of this. Like, the boss makes a dollar while I make a dime kind of, mantra.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend to know in other industries what the middleman, the eBay, right, essentially cut is compared to what people are doing. But as businesses grow and scale, they do typically have lower margins and just make it up on volume, right? Same what we talk about in this. You just want to turn
the main industry I was comparing it to, and I don't even know if industry is the correct term here, but like, I guess like the junk antiques like resale market, because I have a couple of clients who like source and drive to buy collections, and then they also like operate in a much more generalized like Facebook marketplace yard sale style, I'll buy everything and flip it kind of vibe, and then I get the Magic stuff of that, and like they've expressed to me that like, yeah, the margins of the Magic are awful and everything else is insane.
Storage Wars style, I suppose.
Yeah.
That all makes sense. That's interesting. Well, good to know. Now, the other interesting note there is, look, Channel Fireball came onto the place with a marketplace not long ago.
And they shattered my hopes and dreams.
eBay launched, has paid more attention, it seems like, to their collectible cards industry than they had probably ever before. Not that that necessarily means a lot with eBay, but we saw a little bit of pressure over the last few years coming for TCG Player, and they must not be feeling it if they're making changes to increase their margin. You know? It seems like they would be, if there was a big hit into their business taken out by the CFB marketplace or eBay or anything like that, that's changed in the last few years. I don't know if we'd see them go in this direction. So there's just a lot you can read into it. It's an interesting situation. At the bottom line is, you know, it's going to be worse for sellers like DJ. Although the spreadsheet available at patreon.com/BSB will certainly help with that if you're in a similar position. But good info. Thanks, DJ. Depressing info, I suppose.
It is something I've been complaining about for a few years now, but it is finally gained some momentum, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is TCG Player, look, they don't have a monopoly or anything like that, but when it comes to, you know, the marketplace way of buying cards, they pretty much do. You know, lots of people will go to Card Kingdom to buy cards directly, that sort of thing, but a lot more people, you know, go to TCG Player instead of eBay, for instance. Yes. So TCG Player is big business, and anything like this, any changes they make to their fee structure are going to reverberate and be felt. Maybe not in ways you see per se, but it's going to have impacts across the whole industry just because of how big of a piece of the market they touch.
Yes. There are a couple other vendors looking to get into the space. Card Trader Zero is one that's been like gaining some amount of traction. Card Sphere still exists.
Now, was that an anime about a high school kid who's a backpack grinder? Because that's what it sounds like.
I don't know if I'd want to watch that anime, but I think I would anyway.
I watched kids play high school volleyball. I think I could watch somebody do my job.
Emily's on a big soccer binge right now. There's a soccer anime right now.
There's a soccer anime.
Yeah.
Every anime is the same. The stakes are lower in sports animes, but it's still the same, thing where someone trains and develops a special ability or whatever. It's the same.
Like
thing.
the knuckle puck.
Yeah, the knuckle puck.
What?
Which it's impossible for goalies to stop it.
Uh-huh. Accurate.
It's not accurate.
Well,
He says the knuckle puck is not accurate. Did you see the movie?
What are you talking about?
Mighty Ducks 2, baby.
obviously.
And 3. There was a knuckle puck in Mighty Ducks 3.
It's
also.
D2 the Mighty Ducks, but yes.
If there was a Mighty Ducks anime, would you watch it?
There was a Mighty Ducks anime.
Like a Japanese anime?
No. It was
No.
a
It was a
television
It was
show.
a cartoon.
They were a
Cartoon
hockey
doesn't
team.
count. You can't say that's an anime.
I like that Jason and I were both right on that, though. I watched it.
SpongeBob's an anime, guys.
Pokemon.
SpongeBob is an American anime.
American
An
anime.
American.
Anyways, the anime for Mighty Ducks was pretty lit. They would go play hockey and then go
Yeah.
beat up the bad guys.
And then
with
under
their-
the ice was a jet that they would use to jet
Yeah.
off and fight crime.
It was insane, dude.
They were ducks. Like literal
Mighty. They were,
anthropomorphic
yeah.
ducks.
Yeah, they were mighty.
Bipedal talking, mask wearing ducks.
You just really missed out, DJ. That's all. You just missed out.
It was
I
what
don't
was
feel
that?
like I did.
What was that show with Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and Michael Jordan where they fought sports crimes?
Oh, God, I don't know that one.
It was like All Stars or some shit like that. Man, the 90s were a weird time. There was a show, it was just Nintendo characters, but like they didn't look like the Nintendo characters they were based on.
I found the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I started watching it.
What do you mean you found it?
I mean, it's not available to stream anywhere, so I had to wade into the high seas amongst the pirates and find it, which I did, and now I have access to the original Super Mario Brothers movie, and it's bad.
It's
Corbin
so
wants
good.
to get Nintendo to cancel this podcast.
You gotta trust the fungus.
Dude,
we're saying
Nintendo
the
will. Nintendo will too, man. You got to watch out for that. Actually, they're like infamous for shutting down small Smash streams.
I am aware of how litigious they are.
Yeah. Well, you know
Did I say
what?
that right?
That'd be good. You did, I think, actually.
Okay.
It's litigious.
Litigious for sure. I think this. If Nintendo tried to shut us down, I would cry about it on Twitter until I went on national television to cry about it. Okay, it'd be so good for us. Be amazing.
Getting
Just like
canceled.
Yeah,
is
just like this
upward
episode.
momentum.
Just like this episode, by the way. We talked about it before the show. We were like, should we do a real serious episode? Should we? Nah, we just want to hang out and have fun because that's what we're here to do for episode 500. But while we're at it, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, MTGstocks.com, the best place for all of these cards we're talking about, all these picks, all these breaking bulks, all these trends. So you want to go check out MTGstocks.com. Look in on the premium. Sign up for it. DJ won't dox you if you do, and life will be grand. You'll have access to all kinds of information, including price
Including
alerts.
your own. You'll have access to your own personal information. It'll still be personal information.
True, it won't be available to everyone because DJ won't dox you. So the best part of last week was when I was moving, DJ wanted my address to try to send me something. So I sent it to him, and then later he threatened to dox me.
That's
Just
not
'cause.
true.
Just because he threatened to dox
That's-
me. I was threatened to be doxed by DJ, that's all I know.
I have a thumbs up reaction emoji in Facebook Messenger that is my alibi.
Is my alibi.
That
DJ
could have been
threatened to
anything,
dox
man. You were
me.
talking about a lot of concepts that night.
However, it turns out that I gave DJ my address wrong. So I'm actually undoxable. If you don't know...
How can you know my address if I don't know my address?
That's right, man. Read my mind. I dare you.
Yeah, read his address, man.
All right, on another topic, I want to bring this up because we didn't talk about it earlier. Jason, you're someone who plays a lot of Webcam Commander, particularly on the BSB stream every Wednesday, which you should go check out at twitch.com/Brainstorm Brewery. But how do you feel about this increasing trend in cards that take other people's cards. So I'm talking about there's the black card. I think it's a Stranger Things card that exiles the bottom card of everyone's library on the instep.
The Mind
and then-
Flayer.
Sure, the Mind
I've
Flayer.
never seen Stranger Things, and I can name that card.
It's the
Sure.
Demogorgon.
I've actually only played against the Universes Within version of it, or whatever they call
Okay.
it, where it actually has a name.
See, I've written an article on Cool Stuff Inc. about substituting certain cards that take their cards, but for the most part, if the onus is on you to represent a card you took from them with an infinite token, and all they have to do is put that card in exile on their mat and just remember that's what happened, that's
Yeah.
fine. The onus is on you to make a copy of their cards. Just get infinite tokens or have some other like thing you can use to quickly mock up the cards in their decks, and it's fine. If
I hear
something
you. I hear you.
causes you
Okay.
to search through their library, content creators have a tendency to be like, I have a card in mind. When I hit people with,
Praetor's Grasp.
well, not maybe Praetor's Grasp, but like Thought Adele or something like that. I'm
Sure,
just like,
yeah,
just go
yeah,
give
yeah.
me your Soul Ring. I'm not interested in pawing through their deck or having them fan it on
Min-maxing,
camera. I'm
Well,
not
so-
playing,
so the-
I'm not playing webcam Magic to win. So
Yeah.
like if you're playing webcam Magic to win, maybe you need to re-examine why you're doing that and why you playing fun cards if that's what you're doing. If you're playing fun cards, then just have fun with it. Be
fun,
like,
yeah.
I'll take the first artifact you find, or I'll bribery for your top creature, or what would you pick if you got to tutor right now? Stuff like that,
I
Have
think
some
that all
fun with
makes
it.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. I've encountered this where one person will be playing whatever that Universes Beyond card is. Another person just put together an Evelyn deck. Evelyn from Streets of New Capenna. Whenever Evelyn or another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of each player's deck. You can play them.
Yeah.
Forever. Right?
Yeah.
I'm running into my play group has run into a literal and it comes up at places like Command Fest. I noticed this last weekend, that's why I bring this up. At some point, you have 30 cards passed around the table, sitting in front of people they don't belong to. And it's like a dexterity issue, it's a play space issue, it's a what's like somebody found my Underground Sea in their deck the other day because they forgot to give it back to me after they opposition agented it or something, right? Like, I don't know. It's I'm curious of what y'all's thoughts are just on
But
this
that's
trend
mitigated
of...
on webcam because you don't have access to their mats. And their
It's true.
cards,
On
and you're
webcam,
not mixing.
it's on webcam it kind of is like it has its own set of
But
ups and downs.
I stopped playing Acquire, Bribery, Gaunty, stuff like that. I stopped playing cards like that on webcam. And I like to take stuff off the board or face up cards that are known to everybody. I mean, I still play stuff like Mind's Dilation because I'm not going to not. That's so good. But for the most part, if I'm stealing their cards, I'm taking them off their mat, and they just move them off their mat, and I put an infinite token on mine, and it's seamless.
Yeah, so this is why it's interesting, because I almost play exclusively in paper. You play mostly on webcam. And for us, it's just like one person was playing Evelyn, the person next to him was playing the Black Commander, and each of them there was like a 5-player game. So this person has 4 separate stacks of Evelyn cards out, and then they have other stacks from other cards that give them access to things.
Yeah.
And it's like, at some point, it's like, man, I bet all this works great on Arena. But here in paper, it's getting kind of rough just to physically manage decks worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars when everyone is messing with everyone else's stuff. It's very much a design direction they've chose to go in. And I actually think it makes for really fun gameplay. But it's come with some unexpected downsides, I guess.
It's a real good way to... Go ahead, DJ.
I hate playing against Gov decks because the person spends 30 minutes adjusting dice on a table.
No kidding, right? And then
Oh
someone
boy, my Cathar's Crusade triggered. Hold on, let me add a 30-second loading screen. Okay, I'll make another token.
So here's my theory about EDH. 75% theory now means that 75% of the time in a game of EDH, it's not your turn. And that's a lot. Most of the game, for 3 times as much as you're playing, you're not playing. If anybody decreases your 25 or increases their 25 at the expense of everybody else's 25, those are the cards that make people salty. If you're playing less because you're going draw go because they cast Armageddon. If they're taking extra turns, if they're taking a 25-minute turn, anything that like gives you less than 25% of the game time stresses people out. If you go to EDH Rec salty cards, they don't like their lands coming in and play tap. They don't like their lands not untapping. They don't like the other player taking extra turns. They don't like anybody getting more than 25. So if you think about it in those terms, there are some things you can do with a deck of cards that like mimics a card being resolved. It's like, yeah, I didn't take an extra turn, but I took 15 minutes adjusting dice or flipping through my deck, getting 15 basic lands out, or I had a million triggers. If your turn takes as long as if you had cast Time Stretch with a reasonable deck, there's a reason you made people salty, because you cast a Time Stretch. You took
I had to learn that
25
lesson.
to a 21 just by dicking around for a 15-minute turn. So,
I had to learn that lesson with my Shroom deck that I've taken apart since. But back in the early days of Commander, I would play Shroom, and I would always Time Civ combo at the end. And that's fine when you have it, right? You have Time Civ
if they
and
scoop
Thopter Assembly.
combo, great.
Well, it's fine. If you have Time Civ, Thopter Assembly, whatever,
Yeah.
fine, you got it. The problem was where you'd be like, well, I'm dead next turn, but how many turns can I string together by just value sacrificing artifacts? And you just end up in one of those 20-minute turns. And at the end, you may be like, I didn't even win. What are you mad about? But you're right. It's that you just took 20 minutes or, whatever, to do something that was not enjoyable
I would
for everyone
honestly
else.
rather tell somebody doing that they won than waiting 20 minutes for them to miss a trigger so I can get them.
It's also rough because, like, if you're someone
as a competitive player, I would laser focus when they're doing their combo and stuff,
but,
trying to trip them up.
For me,
But,
that's a
for
really fun
game,
challenge,
it's not
though.
fun.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to keep in mind with Commander, right? Because for me, navigating through a super tricky set of Time Civ interactions with opponents trying to stop me, like, that's like kind of like peak Magic. Like, that's fun. Like, that's a good time to me. Like, it's a puzzle that you're trying to figure out. But yes, on the other side of the table, everyone just sees you staring at the board.
You're turning a lot of 25s into 20s, and it's like, this is peak Magic for me, and everyone's like, cool. I'm glad you're
I made a tweet like a month or so ago. It was like, if you cast a mythic red spell with X in the cost, I'm just gonna assume you won. I'm not checking your math. I'm not doing homework. Like, if you play Crackle with Power and you start getting a calculator on your phone, like,
It's like,
go next.
One bonfire, DJ quits. Bonfire X equals 1, DJ's out.
Yeah, but isn't Insurrection an X cost red spell? Like, if the game is fine with spells that just end the game existing, like, why can't you just treat some of the more annoying spells like they say that?
The problem is most people are competitive, and it's like playing against Lantern, man. If there's that 1% chance that you draw an out of it, you don't want to just
story.
scoop.
They don't want to win. They want the story.
You don't want to just scoop to expropriate and move on. You want to have the story of that time you all beat expropriate or whatever. I've gotten pretty close with a couple. I mean, about Skullstorm back in the day, but expropriate's one of those cards that just basically always ends the game. In my group, right? If it resolves, it tends to end the game. I've gotten to where I'm more content to just scoop in situations like that and just move on to the next one.
I think this is a strategy people can apply to League of Legends. I don't play League of Legends anymore. I'm free. I'm sober for 2+ years now.
You'll be back.
I've thought about it a little bit, like in the past 6 months, but not a lot.
I have a friend whose 58-year-old dad learned how to play League of Legends for Father's Day. It was very sweet. No, it was very sweet. His dad wanted his son, who was in his 20s, plays League in video games, and his dad wanted to learn how to play with him.
He wanted to learn why his kid doesn't have a girlfriend and still lives at home.
He does. It's not, but it was actually a very cool story. So anyways, I'm just saying there can be wholesome stories out there for League.
Well, I'm just saying that surrendering and dodging games is something that you should be doing strategically.
Yes.
And this is something I learned during the last part of my grind when I was trying to get very good, and I was getting to the upper echelons of plat, and I almost got diamond, and then I burnt out, and now I don't play anymore. But surrendering and strategically leaving games, even with accounting for the penalties, is an actual thing that you should learn how to do. And
45 minutes of your life just watching them feed bot lane and just getting stomped.
Well, there's so much to it.
It still takes 45 minutes to get stomped in that game.
Dodging is the other thing, because if you're on a comp that you're just like, there's just no way this is gonna work.
Yeah, like if the pregame chat, people are like, well, I'm going this, no, I'm going this, and then you just leave, and it's you lose a 3 LP in 5 minutes of your time, and then that's
you protect them. You protect the mental.
And
Go
your
next,
MMR isn't impacted, so
yeah.
like your actual like matchmaking invisible ranking isn't impacted by the dodge.
Go next, protect the mental. Speaking of MMR though, fun arena fact. Did you know that your arena rank is not the only determination?
Measles, mumps, and rubella?
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Did you know that your MMR in Magic Arena also applies? You can be in Platinum and playing against brand new players if your MMR actually drives your matchups, not your ranking in Arena. Or at least not solely your ranking. I didn't realize that.
Well, yeah, I assume they have that as a way to like prevent pub stomping, right?
I think I saw some when the thread came up on Twitter. I saw some reasonable arguments for it.
It's the same as League. Like if you make a new League account and you crush everyone in 3 games, they're like, all right, you don't belong here, get out. Like, and you can start playing against plat people. Like it's just
yeah. Now the flip side of this is it has been abused on Arena where someone just like scooped 50 matches in a row, had the world's worst MMR, and then just beat new players to get to Mythic.
That's amazing.
And there's like actual monetary rewards tied to getting.
Listen,
to
gamers are gonna game. If you have the wherewithal to sit there and punt 50 games in a row, I don't know, man. Maybe you deserve a little something.
Remember the summer of Planeswalker points?
there was more than one summer. I think there was more than one summer.
No. The summer where Planeswalker points qualified you for the Pro Tour.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas!
People were flying. There was a summer when they first introduced Planeswalker points. They said qualify for the Pro Tour from F&M, and all of your Planeswalker points counted. And if you had enough, you qualified for the Pro Tour. And bigger events had bigger multipliers. What this meant, is that players were flying to bumfucksville, North Dakota, to go play in 14 people PPT queues because they were 2x multipliers or whatever.
Yeah.
And there were a handful of people who got themselves on the Pro Tour without winning anything, just by spending a lot of money on Magic events. Yeah. Fun fact. Yeah.
But again, that good for them.
I agree. Now Wizards changed it because, as it turns out, it wasn't good for them. It was negative for their health and emotional well-being, and probably all of the above. It's terrible to incentivize your player base into that, right? It has to. You don't. Yeah, I don't know. When you start talking about structures, you have to have structures that don't burn people out. That system burned people out, so they got rid of it, etc. And now we've only had 12 new systems since then. But anyways, that was just a fun fact. We've seen a lot of crazy gamers gonna game moments, both in Magic and I'm seeing it in Flesh and Blood as well, because they have a similar system where people can just go play big events. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Before we get out of here this week, we want to give a shout out to our other sponsor, Coalesce Apparel. Go check out.
Corbin, is that a Coalesce shirt you're wearing?
No.
Why the fuck?
Because they're dirty.
You came back from this podcast after a 2-week hiatus without your Coalesce shirt. Jason wore it last couple weeks at some point.
I think I wore my Ristic Study shirt last week. I don't think I wore a BSB one.
I'm not even wearing pants. None of my clothes are clean, bro.
You're not even wearing Coalesce pants? Oh my... I swear to God.
Did you pack dirty laundry? And take dirty laundry? Hey, you guys repping Commander's Herald at least.
No, all of our clothes are just in a bag somewhere. We have some number out, but not a lot. The Coalesce shirt is pretty great, though. And I have to say, Cedric was very busy, it looked like, at Vegas. It looked like a lot of people were going up to the booth. I saw our shirt at the booth, so that's pretty neat. That was cool. Right up there with all of your favorites in the Magic industry. So go check out Coalesce Apparel. Use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery. Get some 10% off. Give them as a gift. Get a shirt for us. Get a shirt of another content creator you like. Either way.
You can use the gift code on the stickers, I think.
Ooh,
I'm pretty sure.
You can use our gift code on anything. You could buy one of Shiv'em or one of Sam's shirts using our gift code. So
you know what? Just to be safe, anytime you buy a product or service online, plug in the gift code. See if it works. It might. It works for BCW. It works for Coalesce. It works for Probably not Target or Walmart, I don't think. But you know what? Just
Only
copy.
one way to find out.
Keep
Every
that on your
website-
clipboard. Keep that gift code ready, just to Control V. Every product and or service you buy, just in case.
Do you want an MTG Finance tip? Every website I go to, I type in sorry 20 or sorry 15. I try both of those because like so often if they did something and screwed up your order, and they want to give you a partial refund, they're like, oh, here you go, use this code for money off your next order, whatever.
Welcome 10 and welcome 15 too.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, so like
Good-
10%
good to know.
off, 15% off, 20, like increments of 5, like that kind of thing. I tend to try that stuff, and
Or the current year, like welcome 22.
I think that's all Honey is. I think that's probably a browser extension that just brute forces a bunch of like that, and they're like, man, we didn't find anything.
There you go. We got all kinds of finance tips, and that's why we're going to wrap up this week with Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
And I'm going to jump in first here with a Jumpstart card. See what I did there?
Oh, what did you do?
No.
I made a very funny pun, I think you might call it.
Okay.
I appreciate myself, and that's what matters.
I'm just
Also,
trying
you
to
should...
get through the day, and you're
I'm
not
just-
helping.
Telling JJ to put in crickets to that.
Yep, great, love it.
And then
You
edit
should-
out me asking for crickets.
You should probably buy Muxus Goblin Grandee. It's $4, which is kind of crazy.
Whoa, that's less than I thought it was.
Yeah. Card was $40 for a hot minute when it first came out. This card broke historic several times on Arena. Don't think it's done much in paper. Don't know that it will do much, honestly, because it's a Jumpstart card in terms of competitive play. That said, it is $4 for probably the most powerful Goblin bomb there is, I think.
I would like to call on this one.
Okay.
I think Jumpstart distribution was seriously messed up on a global level, and the only reason prices were so high was because it was serious.
It was all in the Suez Canal.
I agree with that. I also
And-
think that a $4 Muxus is too cheap.
I think a $4 Muxus is, if you're buying these, the only reason you should be buying them is not to hold them, but to ship them to Europe where they're more expensive. Like, if you go to MTG Stocks, you can see that you can buy it on TCGPlayer for roughly $4, or you can buy it on Card Market for €7, and there's a reason for that. Like I said, most Jumpstart cards are arbitrageable, and you should not be buying them to hold. You should be buying them to ship to arbitrage partners to make more money, or selling them on like Card Trader Zero kind of thing.
Or to play with them, Muxus is $8.50 on Card Kingdom for what it's worth. So they have some faith in the card for sure. Yeah, I think that, look, Jumpstart is its own thing when it comes to... I just think that $4 for a card like this is insane, especially because looking at the graph, it's bottomed out this year. It has gone from decreasing to basically trending flat and or even up on some days over the past month or so. So to me, I'm just looking at a bomb goblin card that is very cheap and looking like it's bottoming out. So I'm in on Muxus.
All right. I have Blade of Cells, which is a card I am intimately familiar with because I bought a ton of these through the Commander 2015 pre-con that it was in 2018. Made a lot of money on the Red-White Commander pre-con when it was a $30 card. Blade of Cells was in Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate as one of the few cards from that set people actually might care about. Mm-hmm. I picked the Battle Bond land somewhat recently because they're in the same situation. Blade of Cells is a colorless way to just spread the love to everybody, get a lot of the battlefield triggers, and it's like $2-3. You should.
I didn't realize this card was $3. That's absurd.
Used to be 20, and I don't think it goes back to 20, but I think it's a 3 go back to 8 or 9 kind of vibe within the next year.
Yeah, I think I agree, unless there was just no Commander 2015 out there in the world, but that card was $20+, so 3 seems pretty low. All right, Jason, what do you got?
Have I picked Welcoming Vampire in the last month? It seems so obvious to me now.
No, you have not.
Okay. I like Welcoming Vampire a lot, and its price is...
That's the non-crappy Mentor of the Week, right?
Well, it's
Yeah.
it only activates
Yes.
once a turn, but you don't have to pay the mana. And like, I'd argue not paying the mana is better early. And being
It's
able
way
to draw
better.
multiple cards is better late. I don't know. Welcoming Vampire is getting played a lot though. Like
I think Welcoming Vampire is better than Mentor of the Meek. I think that early you just want to curve out and accrue incremental value.
and it's
and
a
late,
2/3 flyer for the same mana cost.
Yeah, and like late, with Mentor of the Meek, it's like
If you're getting,
that's not really where you
if you're
want to
getting-
be, you know.
If you're getting enough tokens on the board with Mentor of the Meek to the way you're getting mana gated, like you're winning the game. If you're like, I've got 9 tokens, I can't pay 9 mana, but I got 9 Cathar's Crusade trigger. Like, great, Mentor of the Meek doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
I never played Mentor of the Meek, so I always thought I was wrong because I see that card in so many deck lists. And like, I just hate. I hate getting taxed. You know, it's like they have a card that makes your stuff cost more. Like I get that it's a bonus. It's just giving your creatures a kicker.
Well, how
And every
often were
ability's
you
kicker.
gonna?
But
how
I
often
don't-
were
I
you
like-
gonna activate it multiple times in a turn?
Yeah,
Very few.
especially early.
Yeah. Welcoming Vampire is very good. I like that pick.
They might eventually print that one arena only card. I think it's Inspiring Captain. It's like a 6 mana 1/4.
The Collected Company or whatever.
No, it's like a 6
No.
mana 1/4. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card or something. It's just mono white.
Oh, interesting.
It's arena only, I know, because Shivam tweets about it like twice a year about how he's mad that it just doesn't exist in paper.
Oh.
It's like Mentor of the Meek, but you don't have to pay for it.
Very cool.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you go, everybody. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy the picks. We hope that you enjoyed us. Look, we came in for episode 509 and said we're just going to see what happens. No set schedule, no deep show notes. We're just going to have fun because we've had 500 episodes of having fun for this show. So we hope you had a good time with us. We hope you stick around for the next 500. We hope that you continue to send Jason some beer so he can do the beer thing at the beginning of the show. You can get on that.
That's
that's been a little light recently.
500 episodes, roughly an hour apiece, probably 10,000
DJ.
listeners. God, that's 5 million hours that could have been spent on cancer research. Just 5 million hours of human labor and work that could have just
At that point, what's another 5 minutes to go to patreon.com/BSB? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for listening. This is Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin for Jason and DJ. We'll see you next week.